on myself. I just wanted y'all to know the picture. I bought a car, a limousine Thunderbird. It was custom made. I didn't want black tires. I wanted white rubber. I paid a lot of money to get white rubber because I didn't want black rubber like everybody else. I had a polar bear, real polar bear console. I had polar bear and leopard skin interior. And I dressed like Superfly. Okay, that was on the weekend. On the weekday, I was an ultra conservative person because I had to go to work. I had two apartments. One was my apartment to be Mr. Cool Papa. The other one was to be a conservative black man. Anyway, I was driving my car one day and listening to my Virasonic music, and I saw a little girl walking. She looked pretty much like y'all, comely but very fresh and beautiful. And I pulled up to her and I said, "Hey, Mama," I said, "I sure like to go with you." She said, "You can, just follow me." I said to myself, this is going to be easy. I've done this many times. So I'm riding along and, and talking to her out the window and followed her to a house. She said, "Would you like to come in?" I said, "Yeah, I'd like to come in." I said, "Wow, this is easy." So I got out the car and I walked in. When I walked in the door, it was a Bible study. I was trying to get over on her, but she got over on me. So she led me into a Bible study, and I sat down and heard what they had to say. And I still had my eyes on her, and I had never seen a girl like that before. And so she said, "Would you like to see me again?" I said, "Yeah, I sure would." She said, "Come and go to church with me tomorrow." I said, "Tomorrow?" I said, "That's Saturday." I said, "Okay." So I went and told my friend name was Curly Q. They called me the Rainbow Man. They give you an idea, I was a mess. So I said, "Curly," I said, "Man, we got to go to church tomorrow." He said, "Church?" He said, "Man, don't you know that's Saturday?" I said, "Yes." He said, "What you doing, man? You must be dating a black Jew." I said, "Don't matter." So we went into Longview Heights, Seventh-day Adventist Church in Memphis, Tennessee. I had never met a Seventh-day Adventist that I knew was a Seventh-day Adventist. I didn't think nothing existed but Church of Christ and Baptist and Holiness, and that was it. So I went in there and we sat down, and we, as we said in the world, we scoping, We looked, man, they got all the pretty women in here, man. Look at them, man. And he said, "That one gonna be mine, this one." I mean, we had no fear of God, none. Have no knowledge of God. But the man kept preaching. I said, "Curly, shut up, man." I said, "Listen to what the man got to say." And I got hooked. I got hooked on the message. That girl gave me a book called Minister Healing. And my problem was that I was an artist, but I really wanted to be a doctor too. I was twisted between both. I excelled in school, honor roll, straight A's, no problem, and so I wanted to be a doctor, but my pull to be an artist was too great, so I went to art university. And so when she gave me that book, and she said, "Read this book," and I read that book, and it reminded me that Jesus Christ was a doctor and a preacher. And I saw Jesus Christ in a way that I'd never seen him. I had never heard it. He was more doctor than preacher. And I remember then that I had an ambition to be a doctor. So I wanted to be a gynecologist, a female doctor, out of all doctors. But I began to really push to get prepped to be a female doctor. And with my zeal wanting to know everything and be the very best at it, I did intensive study on female diseases. And then when I got in the Adventist church, a Reformed girl told me, she said, "Do you know that men don't supposed to work on women? You can't be a female doctor." I said, "Why not?" She said, "Here it is right here, read it." And I had already got introduced to Ellen White, and I believed her, I said, "Okay, I got to get that up." So I was willing to get that up, but I had learned so much about how to deal with hormones, balance them out, how to deal with fibroids, endometriosis, polycystic ovaries, how to take polyps out of the vaginal tract. I mean, if you would be you'd be blown away with the things that I had learned to do from a natural perspective. And I began to study chemistry, and I began to study all the phytochemistries in all these trees and these bushes, how to extract the phytochemicals out of them, how that I can look at a particular herb that have a particular enzyme in it, a substance in it, and I can look at a drug and I can make that particular herb as the same potent as that drug by knowing that whatever I use or milligrams it is, I can make it, you know. And so I did a lot of that, you know, and things began to happen to me. God told me to take the most difficult cases in the world. He said, I don't want you to get these little cases. I want you to get the most difficult cases in the world. And I really didn't understand that, you know, because I wanted to be like Thomas Jackson and Danny Vera and Agatha Thrash. I wanted to be like those folks. I didn't want to have to take on all this headache. But he said, I want you to take the most difficult cases. And so today I understand why. You see, I have 3 liabilities. I'm black, poor, and ignorant. You ain't going nowhere but the ghetto with that. And I knew I was destined to be there. But at that time, I knew that, but God had another plan, and his plan was that if I would take on the most difficult cases, that there'll be a field of labor for me everywhere. And that's exactly what has taken place. By me taking on those difficult cases, and the word got out that, you know, I can do some things that everybody else was afraid to do. Especially back here 50 years ago, you know, they'll lock you up. And so I studied surgery. I want to be a surgeon because I read in the Spirit of Prophecy that every medical missionary physician should know how to do surgery. I said, well, I guess I got to go to medical school to learn surgery. And then God said, I'm a surgeon. I never went to medical school. And so I began to study how I could do surgery without using any allopathic techniques. And God blessed me to develop a system called herbal surgery. And I've done thousands of extractions. I've taken tumors out of, if I had my computer here, I could show it to you. I've taken thousands of tumors out of people's body bigger than your head, and I did not have to put them to sleep. You don't have to put them to sleep. You just need to know the action of the essential nutrients and chemicals in the herbs that will act on protein. And it will break down the protein to an amino acid and extract it through a saw to burn a hole in the body and extract it out and pull the tumor out. So I began to really perfect that science and that technique. Only a few people that I know how to do that technique. Today I've really done more work in brain cancer, female cancer, and prostate cancer. I've worked with every kind of cancer you can name, but those are the 3 main ones that I get a lot. So that's kind of where I am. You know, I'm in the twilight of my years. I've put in enough time now that I'm looking for a way to stop. I've been doing this for many years. 20 years ago, I told God I wasn't going to do it no more, but every year he tacked another year onto it. But I am really exhausted, and I'm ready to quit. But I've said, if I quit, what I'm going to do? Then God gave me a 19-year-old boy in the twilights of my years. That shouldn't have happened, but it happened. So now he is a duplicate of me. He really is. He's at the house now, but he's in the other building. I've taught him everything. So when I pass off the scene, I'm sure he'll be able to carry on the work. I train about 250 medical missionary physicians a year. That's what I train, all over the world. I have clinics, and they're not my clinics, but I train the students, and then I show them how to set up these clinics. I believe that we should have small home-type clinics. I believe that if you have a house and an extra bedroom, you should have a clinic. And Ellen White said we should open up many plants. and not mammoth institutions. So that's where my head is. If you can afford mammoth, a real large institution, beautiful, go for it. But me, give me a place to live, I got a clinic. I believe in putting money in the person. If I'm going to expend any money, I want to put in his knowledge to know how to treat disease, understand disease. I developed a technique called the human X-ray machine. And this is where I train the students where they can identify disease by visual and physical look and touch. That means that I can look at you and I can tell how your nose structure, how your eyes, your skin, the texture of your hair. I can look at it and I can see problems there. I can listen to the sounds of your body when you walk, and that gives me a message. I listen to everything. I watch everything, because that way it prepped me to understand what's going on with that person. And I train the students to do this because you may be in a situation where you don't have the machinery to get all type of diagnostic tests. So you shouldn't let that interfere with you. So that's kind of where I'm at with it. I am very pleased to be here to speak with you all in this open air. But I'm a very introvert person, super introvert. I'd rather shut up than to talk, okay? But when I'm standing before God's people, I'm possessed. I'm literally possessed. So I do it because he told me to do it. I don't do it because I like it. I don't. I do it because I'm trying to obey him. I'm indebted to God. And I'm working every day to pay him back, knowing good well I can never do it. And people say, you're going to work yourself to death. I said, that's all right. I take it pleasure to do that. I was married for 25 years. My wife was teaching a medical missionary class at our institution, laughing and playing with the students, and she fell dead instantly. An aneurysm burst in her brain. And I mean, this is a woman that was in top physical condition. We had no clue. It just out of nowhere. And I said to myself, I said, what a way to go. If you got to go, go working for God. All right? So anyway, I've had a really good time. My life has been really good. I can live anywhere in the world, believe it or not, anywhere. People want me to come. They make it possible for me to stay, but I live right up here in Tennessee, about 6 hours north of you all. I have a school there. I can take in about 45, 50 students there 3 times a year. I have another facility two of them in Jamaica, one in Montego Bay and one in Portland. The one in Portland, one of the biggest drug lords in Jamaica, heard about Jesus Christ through one of his field workers. And he was so touched that he decided to dedicate his playhouse to God's work. It's a 100-bedroom hotel sitting on the ocean. It's 100 acres. It's got 3 conference rooms and also got a villa sitting around it with a penthouse on top of the hotel. And he gave it to him, just said, this is my payback to God. And so that facility and the one in Montego Bay, which is a really nice facility. I've opened up facilities in Malaysia, in South America, in Africa, and just all over the place. So that's been my life work. And I'm not here to try to do anything but enhance what you all are getting here. And like I said, I have the greatest respect for this institution. And God has a work for each and every one of us, and they're doing a great work here. So, learn as much as you can. You're not here to do nothing but gain what you came here. Don't let anything distract you from that. Focus in on what you came for. If you don't like somebody, let the Holy Spirit work with that. But keep your eyes focused on your purpose, because if you get it off, you're going to lose sight of time, and you're going to waste God's time and your time. So that's basically it. You all can ask me some questions if you want to. I could talk all day about me, but that don't really mean very much, you know. Um, Y'all got a big advantage here. I've seen all the magnolia trees. I see the pine. I see the cedar trees. I see all these lovely herbs. The trees here are the most potent herbs you got. They're the easiest to learn. If you're trying to learn herbs, learn the trees. The trees that teach you to learn the little herbs. But the trees are easy. I like, that's a pine tree. You'll never forget that. But if I took you out there and showed you a bush out there and I said, that's, you know, whatever, yarrow, it's hard to remember that. If you learn the trees, it'll teach you how to learn the herbs. And then you start studying the essential fat solubles and water solubles of it, out of it. Then you start studying how to extract it, how to extract the elements out of it. And all of that you can do real easy. You know, I study herbs in the zones because I'm in so many different countries. I can't depend on North American herbs. So when I go in a zone, I have to know the herbs in that zone that grow in that zone. The same herbs that grow in India will grow in Jamaica. They just call them by different names. So I have to learn those zones, and no matter where I go, like when I was in Romania, I knew the herbs in Romania. I knew the herbs in Germany. I knew the herbs in Switzerland because I know the zones. It takes a little more effort, though, to do that now. But it'll come. I know people right now are concerned about the COVID virus. I'll tell you a little something about that. There was a lot of Adventists getting sick in the Northeastern Conference, a lot of them. We lost quite a few ministers in the Northeastern Conference. You from there. Well, they called me. The president called me. Pastor Daly, he called me. And Brabell, the treasurer, they all called me. And Montu, you know Montu. Yeah. See, she's from Northeastern, so we can talk. Okay. So y'all know I'm not making this up because she can go back and ask them. They called me and they said, we got a problem. Want to know, can you help us with it? And I told them, by God's grace. And they said, this COVID virus, can you do anything with it? I said, I believe I can. And so, anyway, I began to work with them, and that turned the tide. That turned it, you know. I mean, I got over 400 COVID patients. I had 100 critical, some just getting on the ventilator. Out of 100, now I had over 400, but they wasn't critical. These were somebody with asymptomatic. About 300 was, but 100 was in bad shape. Every one of them people are well today and COVID free. It takes about 1 week to clear COVID out of your body. 1 week. I don't care if you are on ventilator or just got on it. If we can get this tonic in you, you can turn the tide. You can turn it. And it's the key is that tree right there, that pine tree. Ellen White said there's healing properties in the pine and the cedar and the fir tree. And she said, don't be in a haste to cut those trees down. There are medicine properties in it. When Ellen White said that, Adventists began to smell the pine. While we had our nose of smelling it, the Gentiles was tapping the root, extracting the leaves, and they came up with a product called pycnogenol. You hear maritime pycnogenol. They get it from the pine tree. You see, it's kind of like that manna. God gave it to us, but God said you got to do something with it. Not just smell it. It's good to smell the pine, but there's some elements in there. If it's healing properties in the fragrance, then there's healing properties in oral ingestion. And there's other trees like that. So first thing I did, I grabbed that pine tree and I began to extract the elements out. Then I wanted to make a cocktail out of it. I added other things, the magnolia, licorice root, and it's many more. I won't bore you with it. Brother Scott Perry, he has the recipe. And so I make the lung tonic. I can't call it COVID tonic, you know. I make the lung tonic. I make a whooping cough tonic. And I make a hydrochloroquine. I make my own. Uh, I, I get my artesian, which is nothing but sweet wormwood, chacona bark. I get those, and I get bitter cup. That's 3 different herbs that I can take, and I can make that up. And you only take a few drops. I think I got in my pocket here. I keep it. Okay, that's not it. Yeah, that's it right there. I take it wherever I go. I may take this 5 or 6 times a day. I put a few drops on my tongue. And because you're going to come in contact with the virus. You know, it's here right now. And it's easy to catch, very easy to catch. And so I just keep putting it in my mouth. Right here, I'm not fashionable. This is not me. I'm not into nose ring. This is a charcoal nose filter. Okay? It's made out of charcoal. And it's very easy. I just stick them up in there. Y'all excuse my modesty. And I put it right in there, and it gives me 100% protection from the COVID virus trying to get in my sinus area. Hey, I'm not in the jury. This is my personal, is it on? Yeah, this is my personal air purifier. This purifies the air 3 feet around my head. Okay? I wear this, and they give me a little protection. All right? I have another kit in my car. I can come here and I can swat everything in here. I can put it in a solution and it'll let me know if that virus is in here. I can go in your house, take a Q-tip, swat it, and then put it in that solution, and I can tell if that virus is in there. I won't be able to tell if it's active or inactive, but it'll let you know that virus is there. Okay? I have another machine where I thought about bringing it, but I said they probably wouldn't want me to bring it. I have commercial machines where I could have disinfected all these houses. And that house right there, it'd take me 5 minutes to totally disinfect that house right there. I just turn that machine on and I make my own disinfectant, viral disinfectant, and I blow it in that house and it sucks that virus right out of there. I bought it to create an industry for medical missionaries so they can go around and clean up churches. That's what Northeastern wanted me to do, come up and clean up the campground and all the churches in Northeastern and Grace, New York. And you go in and you clean them up for the virus. I got another machine where you can put on your door, and when you walk through that door, it'll beep and check your temp when you walk through the door. And I keep one with me all the time right here. I keep this with me all the time. See, I'm prepared. And I can shine this and hit her head there, and it'll let me know. I can get you way back there. I can hit you and let me know if you got a temp. Also, I got and y'all know this stuff. I got I think it's in here, should be in here. I'm a medical missionary. I mean, I had to be prepared. Y'all know what that is. Y'all nurses know what that is. That's the oxygen saturation. And so what I do, I check the oxygen saturation. If it's below 90 and the temp is up, I said, you need to quarantine yourself for 14 days. Okay? And you need to go get a test done. This is what I'm trying to educate people. There are things we can do to protect ourselves, but you've got to be proactive. Most of the time when you're in an environment like this, a Christian environment, you don't think it can really happen to you because you feel good. You know, you get more lax. But don't be deceived. This virus is a monster. I've seen how it works. It can take the strongest one of you out. I don't care how physical shape you is, it can wipe you out. And what it does, it crystallizes your lungs. And your white blood cells recognize the virus. It attacks the virus, but it keep doing that until your white blood cells produce an autoimmune reaction and start breaking down your lungs. And that's what the problem is. And as it breaks down your lung tissue, it develops inflammation. Inflammation is going to produce more mucus, and your lungs fill up with mucus. So this is why I say don't go how you feel with this. This virus was well planned. Now I tell people this. Typically around this year, I don't know how many people have colds and flus. I'm not getting nobody with colds and flus anymore. Everybody I get got COVID. I said, what happened to the flu and the common cold? It's almost like COVID got rid of the common cold. Well, I'm a strong believer that in the laboratory, they amalgamated the cold virus and the flu virus with the SARS virus and the AIDS virus and came up with this COVID virus. You know, we have over 30 some different type of coronavirus, over 30 some different types. It's only about 6 that affect humans. But each one of those viruses can mutate. Many of those viruses are found in the animal kingdom. Pigs and cows and chicken are the principal one, and monkeys. So if they mutate, that makes it retroactive to humans. So if you eat in any type of animal food, you can easily develop this condition. And I have a PowerPoint presentation. I wouldn't believe it. I guarantee nobody in this room, I ain't gonna say nobody, it'd be hard to find a pure vegan. I do it everywhere. People say, no, I'm a vegan for 30 years. I said, listen to this. Let me know what you eat. When the last time you touched your car tire? You know that car tire got swine in it? That rubber got. How many of you have handled a plastic bag? You know the plastic bags that you had to, do you know that slippery agent in that bag is made out of swine? Yes. 95% of your toiletries are made out of swine. So I just blow them away. I said, you can forget it. If you're buying anything out of the grocery store, I guarantee you eating swine. The devil has really, he really got a plan for us. He want to do us what he tried to do with Moses. He wanted to claim the body of Moses. Y'all know that. Y'all Bible students. Because Moses had did what God told him not to do. And he said, now he's mine. But Jesus had paid the price for Moses. Now we need to know he's going to claim us too, because he said, now, see, let me put it like this here. The strength of sin is the law of God. Did y'all know that? Now, Bible students, now come with me now. The strength of sin is the law of God. See, sin don't have no power. What sin do, it use the law of God to bring condemnation to us. In other words, what it does is, he can't take our life. But the law said, if thou do this, thou shalt surely die. He never gave that right to the devil. The law said, if thou do this, thou shalt die. If you eat this, thou art unclean. The law sin don't do that. So what the devil do, he run to God and say, hey, they just messed up. What you gonna do about it? You see what I mean? And he's trying to keep us unclean and unfit till the day of atonement is over with. And if you touch any or eat any unclean thing, you are what? Unclean to evening. The problem is we're doing it every day. I know. And that's your only safety valve. But God is to bring awareness to us. We got to wake up. And he don't want us to keep saturating ourselves with all this uncleanness. And so it's a difficult thing because we're living in a world that's inundated with Satan's trickery. And you come out here in this beautiful environment, you fulfill part of God's commission, you come out of the nation. If we had been following God's design to be in a country place like this, the purpose of here is to quarantine us away from the world and our children away from the atmosphere of the world. But we go back in the world, we mingle with them, we're doing things in the world, we bringing contamination back in here. So if that virus come in here, we brought that virus in here. Are you following me? We brought it in from the world. But if we really would follow God's plan, then we could shut ourselves away from that. And that don't mean you isolate yourself. That means when you go out there, you need to be well protected because they got it. Are you following me? They have it. Right, yeah. Well, I've worked with so many nurses in New York, doctors. That profession is, I really have a lot of respect for them. It's a dangerous profession right now. Well, first of all, I think you need to get some nose filters, okay? And I wear a mask and nose filters, okay? I have a special type of mask that I wear. No, you can breathe in the one I have. Yeah, the one I have, you can breathe in. I can't either. I didn't bring, that's in my car. I have a mask that you can breathe in. I preach in that mask. But I can't hardly breathe with the cloth mask, but I can breathe with this one. And I have my nose filter on, my mask on. I have this on, and then I have my tonic on, and I constantly put that in my mouth. I make my own hand sanitizers. This is it right here. Every time I shake somebody's hand, I clean my stuff up. I make it myself, so I know what's in it. Some of your hand sanitizers got swine in it. So I know what's in this one because I make it from scratch. So that's, once you do what you can to protect yourself, then God to take up the rest. But it's when we go out there and we don't make no effort. Well, I mean, that's not a difficult thing. I mean, uh, it's a very simple process. Just tell you, do some things and tell you how you can get them. Hmm. Okay, any question, more questions, since we asking questions? No, you go ahead, sir. You said the vaccine? Right. Okay. Well, I mean, you're almost going to have to take the vaccine if you're going to work and you're going to be in this world. Now, the thing is, the vaccine either made out of chicken, monkey, or the swine. You do know that. The vaccine is not, it's an animal-based vaccine. They do animal trials and testing. They testing on them. So they're going to make a serum out of some animal tissue. The most favorite one is that swine because that's the one that's our closest kinship because we have eaten so many swine, now we got genetic traits like him. So they always like to use him, and he's cheap. So you got that chicken, you got that swine. So it's a mistake that people are making. It's an innocent mistake. They take charcoal to neutralize the COVID virus. Charcoal neutralizes everything. All right? So you got to be careful with that. Charcoal is a wonderful herb. Now, don't get me wrong. It's one of my favorite. But you do not want to take charcoal to keep you from getting COVID. You don't want to do that. You want to take charcoal if you have it. You want to take charcoal if you get the vaccine. Charcoal and golden seal will neutralize the vaccine. It must be activated charcoal and golden seal. It would neutralize it. Same as it do neutralize narcotics. If you're on a dope head and you want to get a test, just get you some charcoal and golden seal and take it, and it take it out your system. So activated charcoal and golden seal is what I would do. Right after the test, make sure you take that. And that will neutralize the effects of it. Okay? So that's the thing I would do if I take it. I travel a lot. Lord knows I don't want to take no vaccine, but I said, Lord, do I stop traveling? No, I'm going to have to travel, so I probably get the charcoal and golden seal and take it. Yeah. Let's pray it go away. I don't know. Yeah. Yeah. Anyone else? Mm-hmm. 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 Well, first of all, 50% of us, one out of every 4 person has the virus. That's the COVID virus. One out of every 4. So we have it here, but we asymptomatic. So you're not going to feel nothing. You're going to feel good. You're going to feel healthy. No problem. If you're young and you don't have a compromising immune system, it probably is nothing. But you can give it to someone. If a person have a compromised immune system, diabetes, high blood pressure, heart disease, obese, autoimmune condition, yeah, they're going to be more susceptible for it. It would get them. So we had now on about 180-some thousand people died here in America. That's a lot of folks. You know, that's more people got killed in the war. So, but it's a lot of people here. This is a big country. So when you start thinking about spreading 180,000 people over the whole United States, it may not seem a lot, but it's a lot. And so, like I said, majority of the cases is going to be asymptomatic, but it's real. Now, especially if you come down with it and, you having major symptoms. So, and it's such a bad deception because they say it's the 5G, they say it's this, that, and then the Center of Disease Control, they're all mixed up in the head. One minute they're saying mask, no mask, and a minute they're saying test, no test. See, everybody's confused. The medical system is confused on it. So we are a product of our nation. If they're confused, and then look at the political arena that we're in. That's a mess, a total disaster. And so we are a product of a dysfunctional nation. And so we are confused. This is why we're going to have to rely on the Word of God. Now, God said we should wear a mask. He said if a person have an infectious disease, he should put a mask over the upper part of his lip. Now, I read that in the book of Leviticus. Okay? So, I thought it was the 7th chapter. I should have remembered that, but I think it's the 7th chapter. Just look at the key and cover his upper part of his lip. You'll bring it up. And so, God advocated quarantining. He advocated that. He said if a man had leprosy, he should to tear down his house, get rid of any clay pots and all of that. So it wasn't just the world. The world did what the church should have done. The church should have taught us to quarantine ourselves, to cover ourselves, to protect ourselves. Because it didn't do that, the state did it. And it make look like the state is trying to make us do something that God had already told us to do. I think this COVID is a great and grand situation. I'm sad by the deaths and the suffering, but it's waking God's people up. God's people are out of position. They talking about the time of trouble. There's no way we're ready for some time of trouble. We can't even deal with COVID. We're not ready. I mean, here we seen how helpless we was with our food, with everything. We're totally dependent on the system. So if anything can come out of this, God's people can wake up and get themselves in better position to deal with the final crisis. Okay, thank you, sis. Okay. All right, anyone else? Now you can ask me, like I specialize in cancer. That's my area. COVID, that's a new phenomenon, but cancer is my world. I'm really deeply involved in all type of cancer. So I also work with type 1 diabetes. I know y'all deal with a lot type 2. I deal with a lot of type 1. Y'all got some fig leaves right there. That's one of the few herbs that can cause the beta cells to begin to produce insulin again. It's the fig leaves. You make a tea out of it and give it to a person with type 1 diabetes. It's one of the few herbs that can cause the beta cells that is non-functioning in type 1 to begin to make insulin. The fig leaves tea. Yeah. Okay. Now you said that his kidneys are not working.
His pancreas is inside of him, but it's not working. He's on one of those insulin pumps that the world gives out.
How long he's been on it?
This is a new one. I think he's been on it probably before 3 years.
Okay, well he still might have a chance. So they put you on it ahead of time before it quit. When it get down to 10 or 15%, they'll put you on that. That don't mean it's all the way stopped yet. He's been on it 6 months. It's, yeah, it's possible it's still got some beta cells that are still working. I would, first of all, I would want to know what caused it. You know, it was high blood pressure, diabetes.
Well, he was diagnosed as a 7-year-old child.
With diabetes.
Right.
Okay, so then what you want to do is to try to deal with that. Then he sounds like he is type 1. Okay, so I would try to deal with that diabetes to try to get that under control. And that would take the stress off of those kidneys.
I'm
The,
actually have one of mine here, and he's very open to it.
okay.
His parents who are 75 and 80 are not, and they're still a very big influence in his
Mhm.
life.
Well, I'm gonna give you some things, but I would say that you really need to get the whole protocol from me. But I'm gonna give you some things to let you know you can recharge them pancreatic cells. One of them is stevia. Stevia is really good.
I have him on Stevia, but I don't know if it's a good source.
Okay, the other one is beverine.
Never heard of it.
Yeah, that's an extract from golden seal and Oregon grape.
Never heard of it.
Beverine. Uh, Pod.
You said that the Stevia does what?
The stevia actually helped the beta cell, helped the pancreatic cells to begin to work again. It takes the burden off of them because all the other carbohydrates are going to work those beta cells that's already weak. But stevia won't do that. It allows the beta cells to rest and to gain strength again.
My question is, I've researched this a lot, and I've used some of these things, but I don't know if I have the right source of Stevia. If it's hemp root or the leaves, the
Hmm.
dried leaves and the soup. I'm not sure which one you're using.
I mean, basically just, try to get a good organic base, chemical free, or stevia is all I use.
If you find some store, do you think the store would be a good source of soup or something like that?
I don't know the quality, but I'm saying try to get it at eBay, Amazon, place like that. You can get a good quality.
Fig leaves when I get them.
Yeah, take about a handful of fig leaves and boil that about, as much as you can hold in your fist. Boil that in about 1 liter of water for about 5 minutes and let it steep down all the way cool and let the person drink about 3 ounces of that 3 times a day.
Has some stevia in it, like tastes.
It tastes pretty good.
People who aren't used to eating and drinking what we are used to eating, it's really healthy to drink.
Right. And you're going to have to give them some golden seal. Now, the problem is if you give them these natural insulin herbs, you got to get them a little licorice root because a lot of people develop what they call brittle diabetes, and it will make it shoot up too high or drop too low. The licorice root stabilize it. Um, uh, and I would say do that and, get in touch with me because there's a few other things that slip in my mind. But if you get into me, I'll give you the recipe and try that on them. And, watch the diet. Be careful with that because everything you eat is converted to sugar, but water. And a lot of people don't know this. They say, well, sugar causes cancer. Well, sugar don't cause cancer. It makes it worse because it compromises your immune system. But sugar will not cause you to get cancer. It causes your immune system to get worse, which makes the cancer worse. Because everything you eat is converted to sugar. That's from beans. I tell all the students, I said, what's the end results of digestion of beans? They said protein is converted to amino acids. I said amino acids is a sugar. I said, what about fats? They said, well, fats, glucose. I mean, not glycerin. That's the sugar too. And the same as carbohydrate, glucose. So everything you eat is converted to sugar. It is the processed sugar that causes your immune system to get weak. So I work with a lot of pancreatic cancer and other cancer where I actually give sugar to actually kill the cancer cells. So I feed the cancer cells sugar. Now doctors do this all the time. It may be some medical people in right now. you get a PET scan, you're going to get some sugar, some radioactive sugar. And they give that to you to drink. And they make sure you have went on a fast, and they can check you when they scan you, and that radioactive material in that sugar, the cancer cells go to that sugar and suck it right in, because they're hungry and they want something to eat. They go to that sugar and suck it right in. But they get what they call a cocktail. It's got a trick in it. That radioactive substance is in it, and that's supposed to, destroy some of the cancer cells. So that's a good way to trace this cancer down. If you got cancer in your body, you don't know where it is, fast a day or two, and then put a herb with that sugar that you know, like bloodroot, poke root, shiitake, or reishi. Put that with that sugar. They're not going to discriminate. They're just going to grab, because they're so hungry, and then you can trick them, and hopefully you can reduce some of that. Mm-hmm. No, they can be green. You just have to boil them. Just boil it for about 5 or 6 minutes and let it cool all the way down. I never discriminate. That's just fig leaves, the one I've used. Mm-hmm. That's a bunch of them right in the field, out there in the garden out there. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But you got to watch it, with diabetes. As y'all know, y'all hear it, you check their blood sugar at least 3 times a day to see, just in case it bottom out. Yeah. Well, even the breads and other things, the carbs, you got to look at all that, because the potatoes, rice. People say, well, I can eat rice, I eat brown rice. That's a starch. All starch is converted to sugar. All of it. I know. And this is the difficult. I mean, when you start eliminating that, I tell you another different one, is thyroid. I work with a lot of hypo and hyperthyroid. And I tell people, I say, well, that person hypothyroid, they can't eat certain vegetables. And they said, what vegetables? Broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, kale, callaloo, so on. They said, those are good foods. You mean I can't eat that? No, you can't eat it. They said, why? I said, it has an enzyme in it called gaudatin. Gaudatin slows down the thyroid function. Tofu slows down the thyroid function. Now, if it slows down the thyroid function, what if you was hyperthyroid? You need plenty of that. You see what I mean? Plenty of the broccoli, kale, and tofu, and that slow your thyroid down, so your metabolism is not so fast. But with hypo, you can't do that, because if it slow you down, you're already too slow. You catch a lot of people, they gain weight by looking at food. But it's not necessarily, and these people don't eat that much food. The little skinny person, they eat 3 times more than these big people, and they don't gain no weight. But it makes it look like when you gain weight, you overeating, but that ain't it's your metabolism. If you ever said you got a glandular problem, you know what gland they're talking about? Your thyroid gland. If it's sluggish, you look at food you're going to gain, because you're not burning those calories, you're storing those calories. So what you want to do is to find out what foods slow your metabolism down and what foods speed your metabolism up. And then you got to give them iodine, but never give them iodine by itself. You nurses should know this, or doctors may be here. If you give a patient iodine by itself, then they could develop a thyroid storm. That means that iodine is not broken down to thyroxine. It becomes toxic, and it's a very dangerous condition. So what you do, you give them L-tyrosine, which is an amino acid, with your iodine. That convert the iodine to thyroxine, and that adjusts your T3 and T4. So just knowing that, and I tell you, thyroid is very difficult to work with. It's very difficult to work with because it's very complicated.
Where would you obtain the
Tyrosine, just from the health food. So it's amino acid. Yes, just amino acid. That's all. Hmm. So,
Your metabolism
yeah, it basically, you want to speed up? You don't want to speed up.
you want to speed up. Yeah. No, gain weight. To gain weight.
Oh, okay, well, gain weight. First of all, you want to make sure your metabolism is optimal, and you want to eat food that's increase your calorie intake. So if you want to eat 3 meals a day, increase your calories. So that's with anything. You're going to eat beans, you're going to eat potatoes, you're going to eat rice, put something in it that would increase the calories. And guess what that is? Fats, oils. And nothing going to increase your calories faster than oils. Okay? You don't have to use that much, but it will definitely send those calories up. But you want to make sure you're digesting the food so that it won't be toxic in your system.
And how about the opposite?
Well, that's what I mean. In your case, if it is the thyroid, then
I don't know if it is my blood numbers are good, so maybe it's something else we don't know.
well, it could be. And then your activities slow down. If it's not your thyroid, you can eat. I mean, what I do with people want to lose weight, we have a big mixing bowl, and I tell them that if you want to lose weight, I'm going to eat the weight off of you. I never fast the weight off. I eat it off. And we get a big mixing bowl, and I get them a big salad, which is low in calories. I said, eat that first, as much as you can chow down. Then if you want some tofu and some potatoes and whatever, that's the entree, okay? So that's the side dish. Right. But they're so full that they're not hungry. And do with melons, I said, just eat all the melons you can pack down anytime you want to. And then I put them on a bowel cleanser 3 times a day. And it's a buck-forming bowel cleanser that makes them feel like they got a stomach full of food. And they don't be hungry. Hmm. Yeah. Hmm. Well, anytime you're having a reaction from food, like an allergic reaction, that list's going to keep growing. It don't stop. I mean, it start off with 4 or 5 things, then next year 10 things, 20 things, till it's nothing to eat anymore. And that's more like you're having a reaction, because your immune system is weak. So you can eat it, and it don't cause you a problem. She eat it, she got a problem. So it's nothing with the food per se. It's her immune system cannot handle it. So you want to build up the immune system first. Then the foods that you know that will cause a reaction, you got to give it to them because they're going to get it. I tell you what, I read Jeffrey Klaus's book on poison ivy and poison oak. And I'm in the woods all the time, and every time I get out there, I get poison oak and poison ivy on me, man. It drives me crazy. And I said, I read Jeffrey Klaus, he said, next time just get some poison oak or ivory leaves, break it up and put it in the salad and eat it. And I did it. I broke a couple of leaves in a big salad and I ate it and I thought I was going to die. And he told me to keep doing it and I just keep doing it. And today I can go up there and pull a vine down, leaves down, and rub it on my head. I can put a leaf in my mouth. It won't do nothing to me.
What was it that you ate?
And poison oak or poison ivy.
Couple
I just took a. I'm telling you now, you got to be courageous to do it because I thought I was going to die. But my body built up a tolerance for it. I just feel like my skin was on fire. I was all whipped up. It was miserable. But I had to do it. I think I did it 2 or 3 times until finally I'm over with it. Now, with a case like, I'm going to give you an instance. I'm not telling you to do that. I did it. But with a tomato, some people are allergic with oranges or tomatoes, make their tongue break out or whatever. What I do with a tomato is I cut it, a little piece that'll fill up a half of a teaspoon. And I said, now eat that. And they eat that. And they don't get a reaction. Okay? Now they can go ahead and eat the other foods they can eat. For 3 days, I give them that little piece of tomato. Then I double it. And then I triple it. Until finally they're eating a half a tomato, a whole tomato. See, what happened is if you exhaust their immune system, it's their immune system. If you give too much, their immune system can't react to it, and they're gonna have a reaction. But if you slowly give it to them on a gradual base, their immune system will adapt to it, and it will build up antigens so that they can recognize it. And that's how I deal with people that have. That's dangerous with the nuts. It's too dangerous because I don't try the nuts because I know how dangerous it is. It would work, but it might kill them in the meantime. So I don't fool with the nuts. But anything other than nuts, I would do it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's going to keep doing that. Mm-hmm. Small pieces. If she break out, reduce it. Let her rest for 3 days, come back, cut it in half, and give it to her again. Keep doing that till she can take that small amount for about 3 days. You're slowly introducing it to her immune system. You're building up her immune system. You're giving her vitamin C. You're building it up. You detoxing it. You're cleaning her, and you slowly building up that immune system as you increase that food that she's allergic to, and her body eventually will receive it. And her immune system gets strong enough, she'll stop doing that. It's just like gluten-free. You get ancient grains. People can eat ancient grains pretty good. That's gluten. They got a gluten problem. Well, that's because they haven't been tampered with. Those grains, these new grains are amalgamated grains. They're not a grain. They've been tampered with, and so the body don't recognize that as wheat anymore. But if they get ancient wheat, they won't have no problem. So you just got to slowly build the immune system and give them those foods that they have problem with. Hmm. Mm-hmm. 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 Well, from my experience working with allergies, is first thing I want to look at their nose, and I want to see if they got hair in their nose. And if they do have hair in their nose, I want to see, do that hair, is it a good quality hair? Do it have an oil sheen on it, like a oil on it, coating on it? See, in your nose, your hairs under a microscope is doing this. They're wiggling like that. When ragweed, pollen, or dust get close, it will, through a magnetic charge, draw it to those hair shafts. And it'll stick on the hair shaft. The end of the hair shaft go to your brain. And your brain trigger the mechanism of sneezing. You sneeze it out your body. If those hair shafts are not working right, it'll get on the shaft, get past it, and go up in your sinus cavity. And there you go. You're going to have an allergic reaction. So the first thing I want to do is I want to check the hair. Now what I've done before I got this thing, I would take some thread, roll it up in a ball, dip it in a little olive oil, and I would pack the dose in it. And I said, now go cut the grass. And they can cut it, and they don't be sneezing. They don't have that problem. Because you can put on a mask, and you can go and do some of those things. As long as you got a mask on, you can go out in the ragweed and pollen, and you can do pretty good. That told me that the problem was in the hair shaft. You understand what I'm talking about? So to me, if you fix the hair in the nose, that's what God put it there as a filtering system to catch the ragweed, pollen, dust, and all of that. But today, the hair is either plucked out or it's a poor quality hair. Yeah, this is especially for that. These are especially for allergies. I use it for the COVID virus, but that's what they made them for allergies. Well, then I would work on the immune system with that because this should work. In every case I've seen, it will stop it. Now, you have to take them out and clean them, maybe 2 or 3 times a day. But they will catch it. Those charcoal filters are not going to let nothing get past. Well, you may have to because, like I say, we are not where we should be health-wise. These bodies are breaking down. I mean, until we can restore this body back to a balance, we may have to have some kind of aid to help us. So, that's just the truth of the matter is that we're not as healthy as we should be. Well, like these things here. Whatever it takes, a mask or whatever. Because these bodies has been abused so bad and we have inherited problems and we have cultivated habits, and so we're going to have to help it out. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'll give you an example, and I can do it while I'm here if y'all want to see this experiment. And I teach my students this that want to go in a self-supporting business. I said, let me put you in an essential oil extract, a tincture business. I said, give me $100, and I'll set you up in a business, and you're going to make a lot of money. And they said, for real? I said, yeah. You're going to make a lot of money off $100. I take that $100 and I go and buy 1 ounce of peppermint oil, a lavender, oregano, I don't care what it is, 1 ounce. I take that 1 ounce and I pour it in a quart jar. And I put 1/3 of that, I fill it up with DMSO. And I put another 1/3 with alcohol and the rest with water. And before you can count to 5, it would have turned that into 1 quart of peppermint extract. That's the water soluble out of that tree right there. That tree has fat solubles and water solubles in it, that pine tree. You put that in there with those 3 elements, the water, alcohol, and DMSO, and the peppermint, and before you can count to 5, it's going to get hot. You touch that jar, it's going to be hot like you boiled it. And then you smell it, that's peppermint. Test it against the original one, you cannot tell the difference. But you're not finished. I can take that 1 quart and I can make 5 gallons of peppermint out of it. I can take that 5 gallon and I can make you 10 gallons of peppermint out of it. I can do every essential oil and extract like that.
Will it still be
As strong. I've had people challenge me with it. It don't matter as long as it's alcohol. That's a good one. I use a lot of that. Okay. But I make my extracts out of DMSO. DMSO is one of the most powerful solvents. It's a solvent. I can have a person has cancer of the esophagus and stomach. They cannot drink orally. I can mix some herbs with the DMSO and rub it on their skin, and it would take it into their body. That's the pine tree. It's a solvent. It's the strongest solvent we have. Now, you can take people that's on a pain patch. You can take codeine, mix codeine and DMSO together, stick it on your hand, and guess what you're going to do with that codeine? Take it right through into your bloodstream. I can make nicotine patches. People that want to stop smoking, I won't do it. I can get some nicotine, mix it with DMSO, stick it on your skin, and guess what? It take it right to your bloodstream. Because DMSO, that's the bad thing about DMSO. It is a very powerful solvent. I drink it. But if you don't know how to use it, it can be very dangerous. Because if I got bleach or Clorox or some kind of chemical, and it come in contact with that DMSO and get into, it gonna take it right into my skin and poison me. And that's why the medical system frown on it. It's not because DMSO is bad, it's because they think we're so ignorant we don't know how to use it. They use it in the laboratory all the time. For organ transplant, if you need a kidney to go to California, they put it in DMSO and ship it out there because it stabilizes the cells so the cells won't break down. So it's a very powerful, but you really need to know, study it out, and understand the action of DMSO. Like you were talking about this person with pain, if I was working with them, I'd give me some olive oil, I rub that area down with some olive oil, I put a couple of drops of peppermint, a little cayenne pepper in it, with DMSO, and I rub it over that area, and it'll take that pain right out. It's the best pain medicine you can get. Do the DMSO. You got a knee, say if you got a bad knee, and you sit there and you get up and that knee just stiff, rub that olive oil and DMSO on that knee, it will not take that pain right out. You buy it, just buy it. They sell it in New York. I bought it there. Mm-hmm. You can buy it online. I buy it by the gallons, yeah. Mm-hmm. What did you buy, you sis? Oh boy, they do everybody like that, I thought. Yeah. Wow. Oh, now you got me looking for them. Okay. All right. I mean, it's that protein they dropping into you when they bite you. I don't know what you're going to do about that because they inject you just like a wasp, a bee. They inject that protein in you. And it's going to do that till your body can get rid of that protein. So I don't know what you're going to do about it because yeah, I can say it's the protein. Now, to give you an idea what I'm talking about, I can inject some soy milk in your blood through your skin. It works just like a snake bite. It would hurt you. It would rot your tissue out, just like you've been bit by a black widow or a rattlesnake. And you too much of it, it would kill you. Just soy milk, any protein that you inject into your bloodstream is an offensive protein. That means it's not a mechanism in your blood to break down protein to amino acids. So it becomes a toxic protein. Protein have to go through your gastric tract and there begin the breaking down of that protein to peptones, to peptides, to amino acids. If that protein get past the digestive system and get in your blood, you're going to develop some problems. Thank you. All right.